When I say spirituality, what do I mean? Because everybody has their own definition of spirituality. Like you can go to Thailand, get a lotus flower tattoo, and then say to everyone, like, I'm super spiritual, yo. And that's completely fine. Everybody has their definitions, but what do I actually mean when I say spirituality? For me, spirituality is the journey, the pursuit, the system in which you can realize God directly for yourself. And by God, I mean the universe, oneness, everything. So the word everything is such a great place to start because there can only be one everything, right? Everything, you can't have two everythings. There's just one everything. And what that everything actually is you. You're that everything. So there's no separate objects. There's no like hands. There's no mics. There's no phones. It's all just one thing. And this is something you can be directly conscious of. If you've ever done psychedelics, you might have had glimpses into this sensation experience. It's not even an experience, it's beyond experience. This knowing that everything is you and that you are all connected. It's all just one thing. That is what spirituality is. It's the pursuit to realizing that in your sober state. So you don't need to do psychedelics. Like you can realize this in your sober state. At the highest level, the fruition of this is enlightenment or liberation, which you might have heard of. It's what the Buddha did. It's what Jesus was all about. It's just this final stage where your separate identity dismantles, it dissolves, and you're just left with this oneness. You're whole, you're complete. Practically, why I do this whole spirituality thing? Spirituality is also the path to the end of suffering. So this psychological suffering that you feel, not like having a cut or a bruise or whatever that is like that's not going to end. That's just called being a human in a body. But I'm talking about the psychological suffering that you feel, this sensation that things aren't right, things aren't okay. There needs to be something that is different. This situation right now is not okay fundamentally. That sensation that's always been nagging in the back of your head, probably since you transitioned from being a little child to kind of like a teenager, it's been in the back of your head. Something isn't quite right. Something needs to be solved. And so it's the end of that sensation or that experience. That is the whole spiritual path. So you can get from the bottom of the mountain to the top of the mountain in so many different ways. There's so many different traditions and approaches you can take. You can purely meditate. You can do asana, so yoga in the West, where you're just using your body to reach that level of enlightenment. So there's so many different ways to the top of the mountain. But fundamentally, for me, spirituality is just that ascent. It's the process of that ascent. And there's like these ideas of like spirits, angels, demons, guardian angels, like all of these different things. And I see, like, I'm not, I'm not completely against these ideas or these experiences. I think, or past lives, things like that. I think people can very much have these experiences of past lives, angels, demons, and spirits and entities when you're on DMT or whatever. I wholeheartedly believe you can have these experiences, and I've had these experiences. However, the form of spirituality that I'm talking about on this channel isn't really focused on any of these experiences. It's not focused on manifestation, setting yourself up so you're a billionaire, or figuring out like where you belong in the astral realm. Like those things don't really, they're not my area of interest. So when I say spirituality, I purely mean this awakening or this realization or this enlightenment. In my life, I don't put much effort or time, or basically I put zero effort and time to thinking about spirits and that type of stuff. I think they have their place for basically being ways to heal trauma and integrate and do emotional shadow work. I think it all has its place. But for me, it's not that interesting because ultimately those things, those avenues feel like side paths, like they're not going straight to the mountain. They're kind of, you're taking like a detour in like a fun kind of like Disneyland where there's all of these cool, amazing, fantastical things. But my thought process is like, I just want to go to the top of the mountain. And that means direct realization. That means there's no other. It's just you. So there's no spirit. Any spirit you see is just you. Everything is ultimately just you. There's no past lives, because how can there be a past life if everything is just one? Like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, if there's just everything, nothing can stand apart from that everything, if you get what I'm saying. Again, I'm not saying these things don't exist in that sense, but from the ultimate perspective, none of it makes sense, because there's nothing separate. So there's no God, there's no universe, there's nothing. It's just you. It's just this presence, whatever the fuck it is. So that is what I mean when I talk about spirituality. Ending suffering, getting to the top of the mountain. The routes that I take are more like it's meditation, purely just so focusing on the breath, vipassana, and body scanning, stuff like that. That's the kind of route that I take. Dancing as well. It's a great way, I think, to kind of do shadow work and release emotions. So that's what I mean when I say spirituality. Hopefully that makes it clear. Everyone has their own quirky definition. This is my quirky definition. I hope you enjoyed. And as always, peace and love.